Ever wonder if there's a way, like, to make your money, work as hard for your values as it does for your wallet?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine, feeling good about your financial decisions,
Yeah.
knowing they reflect, like, what you truly believe in.
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
All right.
The fascinating world where smart money meets strong morals.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Oh.
It's about recognizing that finance isn't just some cold, calculated game,
Right.
It's deeply intertwined with human behavior,
Yeah.
and it has a ripple effect on society as a whole.
Right. Our source material for this deep dive is an insightful piece
Okay.
titled Moral Value Education in Finance, Building Ethical Foundations for a Better Future.
I like it. And it really got me thinking, like, how often do we consider
Yeah.
the ethics of our financial choices?
It's often overlooked, I think, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Traditional financial education tends to focus on the how-tos,
Right.
budgeting, investing, securing loans.
But rarely delves into the should-we's.
It's like learning how to drive a car without any lessons on road safety.
Oh.
You might be able to navigate the mechanics,
Yeah.
but are you equipped to handle, like, the complexities of the road?
Exactly. Finance, much like driving, has a huge impact on ourselves and those around us.
Yeah.
Our source material kind of dives into this
Okay.
by exploring several core values that should be embedded in how we think about and use money.
Okay. Color me intrigued.
All right.
What kind of values are we talking about?
Well, first and foremost, honesty and transparency.
Okay.
Think about it. The entire financial system hinges on trust.
Hmm.
When that trust is broken, whether it's through misleading financial information or hidden fees, the consequences can be disastrous.
That makes sense. I mean, just look at what happened during the financial crisis.
Yeah.
Triggered by irresponsible lending and opaque practices.
Yeah.
It shook the entire global economy.
Precisely. So cultivating honesty and transparency in finance isn't just about being a good person. It's about safeguarding the stability of the entire system.
So honesty is like the bedrock, the foundation.
Yeah.
What else builds on that foundation?
Responsibility and accountability.
Okay.
This means owning the impact of our financial decisions. It's about understanding that overspending or accumulating unmanageable debt doesn't just affect us personally.
Right.
It can also have serious consequences for our families and communities.
I hadn't thought about it that way. It shifts the perspective from me to we. It sounds like it's about considering the long-term well-being of everyone involved.
Yes. And that leads us nicely to the next value, fairness and justice.
Okay.
It's about advocating for a financial system that benefits everyone, not just a select few.
So things like fair wages, equal access to financial services, policies that address economic inequality.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, financial systems often perpetuate existing power imbalances.
Yeah.
Integrating fairness and justice means actively working to level the playing field.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these values go hand in hand. We start with honesty as a foundation, build on that with individual responsibility,
Right.
and then broaden our perspective to include fairness for everyone.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Well, once we've established that foundation of fairness, we can start thinking about how to use our financial resources to make a positive impact. That's where compassion and generosity come in.
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
It's about moving beyond just managing money and starting to think about how we can use it as a tool for good.
Exactly. This could take many forms.
Yeah.
From charitable donations to supporting local businesses or investing in social causes that align with your values.
So it's about asking yourself, how can my money reflect the change I want to see in the world?
Precisely. And that leads us to the final core value, sustainability and stewardship.
Okay.
This is about viewing money not just as a means to personal gain, but as a resource to be managed wisely for the benefit of current and future generations.
So it's about considering the long-term environmental and social consequences of our financial choices.
Absolutely. This means asking ourselves,
Yeah.
are my spending habits and investment decisions contributing to a more sustainable future?
Right.
Or are they harming the planet and its people?
This is giving me a whole new lens to view my spending habits.
Yeah.
It's like realizing my wallet has the power to vote for the kind of world I want to live in.
You've got it. And that brings us to a crucial question.
Okay.
How do we effectively put these moral values into action? It's one thing to understand them, but how do we weave them into our everyday financial decisions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all. Like, how can my individual choices really make a difference in a system as vast and complex as finance?
It's a valid concern, but here's where it gets interesting. Our source materials suggest we can start by changing how we approach financial education itself.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do we revamp financial education to be more ethically grounded?
Think about it. Most financial education focuses on maximizing personal gain. What if we shifted the emphasis to understanding the impact our financial choices have on others and the planet?
So instead of just teaching kids about balancing a checkbook or getting the best return on investment, we also teach them about things like fair trade ethical investing and the social responsibility of businesses.
Exactly. Imagine a world where financial literacy included understanding the interconnectedness of our financial decisions and their ripple effects on communities and the environment.
That would be a game changer. But how do we make that happen? Is it even realistic to expect such a fundamental shift in how we approach finance?
It might seem daunting, but remember, change starts with awareness. Our source material emphasizes the importance of using real-world case studies to illustrate the complexities of ethical dilemmas in finance.
Case studies, huh?
Yeah.
I can see how that would be more engaging than just reading dry textbook theory.
Yeah.
What kind of case studies are we talking about?
Well, for example, you could present students with a scenario where they have to decide whether to invest in a company that offers a high potential return, but has a questionable environmental record.
Ooh. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It forces them to grapple with the trade-offs between profit and ethical principles.
Exactly. Or you could have them analyze the supply chain of a popular product to uncover potential labor exploitation or environmental harm. It's about helping them see the connections between their everyday choices and the impact those choices have on the world.
I like that. It's about taking those abstract ethical values we talked about earlier and applying them to concrete situations.
Yeah.
It helps students develop critical thinking skills and a deeper understanding of the consequences of their actions.
Precisely. And beyond case studies, there are many other interactive approaches we can use to bring these ethical considerations to life. Role-playing exercises, debates, and even community service projects can help bridge the gap between theory and practice.
So it's about getting people actively involved, encouraging them to not just passively absorb information, but to actively engage with these ethical dilemmas and figure out how they apply to their own lives.
Exactly. And this kind of education shouldn't be limited to schools. It's something we can all benefit from, regardless of age or financial expertise.
So how can adults continue learning about ethical finance? Are there resources available for those of us who are beyond the classroom setting?
Absolutely. There's a wealth of information out there, from books and articles to podcasts and online courses. And don't underestimate the power of conversations.
Conversations.
Yes. Talking to friends, family, and colleagues about ethical considerations in finance can be incredibly insightful. It can help us challenge our assumptions, learn from different perspectives, and build a community of support around these values.
That's a great point. It's about normalizing these conversations and making it okay to talk about money and ethics in the same breath.
Exactly. And as we start having these conversations more openly, we can start to shift the culture around finance. We can create a world where it's not just acceptable to consider the ethical implications of our financial decisions.
Yeah.
It's expected.
Okay. I'm feeling more hopeful already. But let's get down to brass tacks here. What are some practical steps our listeners can take today to start aligning their money with their values?
Well, one of the most impactful areas we can focus on is our banking choices.
Okay.
Most of us don't give much thought to where we bank, but it turns out our choice of financial institution can have a huge ethical impact.
Really? I thought a bank was just a place to park my money. How can my choice of bank make a difference?
Many traditional banks invest heavily in industries that are harmful to the environment, like fossil fuels, or engage in predatory lending practices that exploit vulnerable communities.
So it's not just about finding the best interest rates or avoiding fees.
Right.
I need to think about what my bank is doing with my money behind the scenes.
Exactly. Fortunately, there are alternative options. Ethical banks and credit unions prioritize social and environmental responsibility in their lending and investment decisions.
So if I want to make sure my money is being used for good, switching to an ethical bank would be a good place to start.
Absolutely. And even if you're not ready to switch banks entirely, You can start asking your current bank about their social and environmental policies. Do they offer sustainable investment options?
Quote,
Do they have a track record of ethical lending practices?
it's about using our consumer power to hold financial institutions accountable for their actions. I like that. What other practical steps can we take?
Well, investing is another area where we can have a significant impact. Traditional investing has been all about maximizing returns, but there's a growing movement towards ethical investing, also known as impact investing or sustainable investing.
Okay, I've heard those terms thrown around,
Yeah.
but I'm not entirely sure what they mean. What's the difference between ethical investing and traditional investing?
Ethical investing takes into account the social and environmental impact of the companies you're investing in, not just their financial performance.
So instead of just chasing the highest returns, I'm choosing to invest in companies that are aligned with my values.
Exactly. You're putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak.
Yeah.
The great thing is, you don't necessarily have to sacrifice returns for ethics. There's a growing body of evidence suggesting that companies with strong environmental, social, and governance ESG practices actually perform better in the long run.
Really? So doing good could be good for my portfolio, too.
Absolutely. And even if the financial returns aren't immediately apparent, ethical investing can give you a sense of purpose and satisfaction that goes beyond just watching your money grow.
I like that. It's about aligning your investments with your values and feeling good about where your money is going. But where do I even begin? The world of investing seems so complex and intimidating.
It can be, but there are resources available to help. You can talk to a financial advisor who specializes in ethical investing, or you can use online tools and platforms to research companies and funds that are committed to ESG principles.
Okay, so it's about doing some research and finding resources that can guide me through the process.
Right.
But what if I don't have a lot of money to invest? Can I still make a difference with my everyday spending choices?
Absolutely. Every dollar we spend is a vote for the kind of world we want to live in. Conscious consumerism is all about making mindful choices about the products and services we buy.
So it's about thinking beyond just price and convenience.
Yeah.
And considering the ethical and environmental impact of our purchases.
Exactly. It's about asking questions. Where was this product made?
Mm-hmm.
Were workers treated fairly? What is the environmental footprint of this product?
It's about doing my research and choosing to support companies that are aligned with my values.
Right.
Even if it means spending a little bit more or going out of my way to find ethical alternatives.
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect or depriving yourself. It's about making small, gradual changes that add up over time. Every little bit counts.
I love that. It's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, sometimes it feels like my individual choices are just a drop in the bucket. How can I be sure I'm actually making a difference?
Well, it's true that one person alone can't solve all the world's problems.
Right.
But when we collectively choose to support ethical and sustainable businesses, it sends a powerful message to the marketplace.
So it's about creating a ripple effect.
Exactly. As more and more people demand ethical products and services, businesses will have to adapt or risk losing customers. It's about using our consumer power to drive positive change.
That's empowering. And it goes beyond just our individual purchases. We can also use our voices to advocate for change.
Absolutely. We can contact companies and let them know we care about their ethical practices. We can support organizations that are working to promote corporate accountability and sustainability. We can use social media to spread awareness and encourage others to make more conscious choices.
It's about using our collective voice to amplify the message of ethical consumerism and demand a more just and sustainable marketplace.
Exactly. And as this movement gains momentum, it will put pressure on governments to create policies that support a more ethical and sustainable financial system.
So it's not just about individual action. It's about systemic change.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that our financial choices are interconnected with larger systems, and that we can use our power as consumers and citizens to push for positive change at all levels.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about making my own ethical choices.
Right.
It's about creating a world where ethical choices are the norm.
Yeah.
Where they're embedded in the very fabric of our financial systems.
You've got it. It's about shifting the culture of finance from one that prioritizes profit above all else to one that values people, planet, and ethical principles.
That's a vision I can get behind. But let's not forget about another crucial element of ethical finance: giving back. It's not just about how we earn and spend our money,
right,
but also about how we share it with others.
That's right. Compassion and generosity are essential components of an ethical approach to finance. It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and that we have a responsibility to care for one another.
So it's not just about being responsible with our own finances, but also about using our financial resources to make a positive impact in the world.
Exactly. And there are so many ways to give back, whether it's through charitable donations, volunteering our time,
Right.
or supporting organizations that are working to address social and environmental challenges.
It's about finding causes that resonate with our values and using our money to make a difference in the areas we care about most. But what if I don't have a lot of money to give? Can I still make a difference?
Absolutely. Giving back isn't just about the amount of money you donate. It's about the spirit of generosity. Even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect.
So it's the thought that counts.
Exactly. And giving back doesn't just benefit those who receive our support, it also benefits us as givers. Studies have shown that giving back can boost our happiness, reduce stress, and improve our overall well-being.
It makes sense. Helping others gives us a sense of purpose and connection to something larger than ourselves.
Precisely. And that sense of purpose and connection can be incredibly rewarding.
Well said. I think that's a great point to transition to the final part of our deep dive. We've talked a lot about practical steps, but I'm curious to explore the bigger picture. What could a truly ethical financial system look like, and how do we get there?
That's a question worth pondering. Let's delve into those possibilities.
Okay, so let's dive into that big picture question.
Yeah.
We've talked about making ethical choices as individuals.
Yeah.
But what would a truly ethical financial system look like at a systemic level?
That's where things get really fascinating. It requires us to reimagine the very foundations of finance.
Okay.
Shifting away from a purely profit-driven model to one that prioritizes the well-being of all stakeholders, individuals, communities, and the environment.
So it's about moving beyond just shareholder value.
Right.
And considering the impact on all those who are affected by financial decisions.
Exactly. Imagine a world where corporations weren't just beholden to their bottom line.
Right.
But were also held accountable for their social and environmental impact.
It sounds like we're talking about a major cultural shift, a fundamental rethinking of the role of finance in society.
Precisely. And that kind of transformation requires action at multiple levels, from government policies and regulations to corporate practices and individual choices.
So where do we even begin? What are some concrete steps we can take to move towards a more ethical financial system?
Well, our source material highlights the crucial role of education in shaping ethical financial behavior.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply teach people the technical aspects of finance.
Right.
We need to cultivate a deep understanding of the ethical implications of financial decisions.
So it's about weaving ethics into the very fabric of financial education starting from a young age.
Exactly. Imagine a world where financial literacy wasn't just about balancing a checkbook or investing in the stock market, but also about understanding the impact of our financial choices on the world around us.
It's about equipping future generations with a moral compass to navigate the complexities of finance.
I love that idea. But how do we make that happen?
We can start by incorporating ethical dilemmas into financial education curricula.
Okay.
Instead of just focusing on how to make money.
Right.
We can explore real-world case studies that challenge students to consider the social and environmental consequences of their financial decisions.
That would bring those abstract ethical principles we've been discussing to life. Students would learn to grapple with the complexities of things like fair trade, ethical investing, and corporate social responsibility.
Exactly. And we can go beyond just case studies. We can use interactive simulations and games that allow students to experience the ripple effects of their financial choices in a safe and engaging environment.
It's about helping them develop empathy and critical thinking skills so they can approach financial decisions with a more holistic perspective. I love that. And let's not forget the importance of role models. We need to highlight examples of individuals and businesses that are successfully integrating ethical principles into their financial practices.
That's a great point. Seeing real-world examples of ethical finance in action can be incredibly inspiring for young people.
Right. We need to show students that it's possible to be both financially successful and ethically responsible. It's about showcasing a different kind of success.
Yeah.
One that values social and environmental well-being alongside financial returns.
So it's about shifting the narrative around finance from one of pure profit-seeking to one that values social and environmental well-being.
Exactly. And that shift needs to start in our schools. We need to equip future generations with the knowledge, skills, and values they need to create a more ethical and sustainable financial system.
But it can't just be about kids, right? Adults need this kind of education too. We all make financial decisions every day that have ethical implications.
Absolutely. Ethical financial education is a lifelong journey. We can all benefit from continuing to learn and grow in this area. And the great thing is,
there are so many resources available to help us along the way.
Like where can we go to learn more about ethical finance?
Well, there are books, articles, podcasts like this one, workshops, and online courses dedicated to exploring the intersection of money and ethics. And as we discussed earlier, don't underestimate the power of conversation.
Right. Talking to friends, family, and colleagues about our values and how they inform our financial choices can be incredibly enlightening.
It's about creating a culture of open dialogue where we can learn from each other's experiences, challenge our assumptions, and support each other in making more ethical financial decisions.
I love that. It's about building a community around shared values. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of moral money, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can they do starting today to create a more ethical financial future?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that we all have the power to make a difference. Our financial choices matter both individually and collectively.
It's about recognizing that every dollar we earn, spend, save, and invest is a vote for the kind of world we want to live in. Exactly. So I encourage our listeners to start by reflecting on their own values and how they align with their financial decisions. Are your banking choices, investment decisions, and spending habits supporting a more just and sustainable world?
And if not, what steps can you take to start aligning your money with your values? Maybe it's switching to an ethical bank, researching sustainable investment options, or making more conscious consumer choices.
Remember, even small changes can have a ripple effect. Every time we choose to prioritize ethics over pure profit, we're contributing to a more ethical and sustainable financial system.
And don't be afraid to talk about it. Share what you're learning with your friends, family, and colleagues. Start conversations about ethical finance. Together, we can create a world where money is used as a force for good, not just a means to personal gain.
Well said. It's about recognizing that finance isn't just about numbers, it's about people. It's about the planet. And it's about creating a future that we can all be proud of.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of moral money. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Until next time, keep those ethical wheels turning.